Hi there, my name is Thomas J. Brown, and this is a video called Sharks that I created for my marine biology class in high school. I went to Punahou School in Honolulu, Hawaii, so that's why I had a marine biology class in high school. Marine biology was basically the best class at the school because it was a 2-hour long class, and you got to go like snorkeling, and like you'd go on field trips all the time. So my friends would see us leaving campus with, fins and snorkel gear and stuff, and they'd be like, "Well, hey, school's not out. Where are you going?" "Oh, we're going snorkeling." "Oh no, it's for class." They were like, "What? What class is that?" We said, "Marine biology." I don't know how I got into it, but I think my teacher liked me because it was something I was genuinely interested in. I really enjoyed it a lot, so I would do a lot of stuff outside of class. He would go to tide pools and stuff to get things, and I'd always want to go with him. And this was, I don't remember exactly what the requirements for this project were, but it was like, pick an animal, and a marine animal, obviously, and then do a project about said marine animal. And we had partners. My partner on this project was Christen Zoccolante, who's narrating this whole first section here. And as soon as he said pick an animal, I was like, sharks. That's it. Gonna do sharks. And, everybody there could only be one person doing each animal. And so I don't remember. I may have actually, as soon as he said that, I may have just said sharks, like in class in front of everyone, just didn't wait for anybody else. But I was like, yeah, I totally want to do sharks. And so somehow I was able to do sharks. I don't remember how. But again, he liked me, and so I think maybe he gave me possibly a little bit of preferential treatment. This footage here is shot at the Waikiki Aquarium. You can tell the difference between the professionally shot footage that was presumably shot on film and the stuff that we shot on VHS. The Waikiki Aquarium was actually really cool about letting us come in and shoot. They actually let us in for free, and so that we could videotape their attractions. But they have a big shark tank there, and really they were more concerned about us using lighting. And we said, "Oh, we don't have any of that." And they said, "Oh, okay, great." So we went in and we shot a whole bunch of footage of the sharks swimming around in the big tank, and they have a little display with, as you saw earlier, the shark skeleton and some information about the shark's anatomy and whatnot. While we were at the aquarium, we also had scheduled an appointment to meet with this guy, Gerald Crow, who was a shark expert, I guess. I think we asked for a shark expert, and they're like, "Oh, that'll be Jerry Crow." And we said, "Okay, sounds good." And it's funny, actually, if you look at him, he's wearing a t-shirt, and he's sort of not reclined, but he's like leaning back in his chair, and that seems so typical of interviews in Hawaii. I did a couple of projects where I interviewed people, and it seems like everybody was, dressed really casually, which is normal for Hawaii anyway. But like they were all sort of reclining in their chairs and whatnot. Wow, that guy's got to be a dummy to go out in the water with the shark. Bad joke. Well, I didn't hear anyone laughing. Not even me. I didn't even chuckle at that. It wasn't very good. Never mind. Pretend I didn't say it. Although that looks like fun, doesn't it? Swimming with the sharks. Look at that kid. He's having a great time. Oh, here we go. All right. This is part 2. So part 1, that was all Kristen's sort of portion of the project. And so she researched and wrote all of that. And then this was my portion, the interview with the shark portion, which I researched and wrote. And that's me in a shark costume. And perhaps you're wondering, hey, Thomas, where in the world did you get a shark costume? And, my mom was a commercial producer in Honolulu, and her company happened to be getting ready to shoot a commercial that used a shark costume. And so they happened to have this shark costume right at the time that I was making my shark video. And so my mom said, "Hey, do you want to use it?" And I said, "Of course I want to use it. Why wouldn't I want to?" So we, instead of, having this dull, long video with just sort of random information about how sharks hunt and how to stay safe around sharks. We had a dull, long, random, all that information, but with me dressed as a shark, which made it perhaps just that much more interesting. In case you're wondering, I did actually answer all of the questions while in costume. We had a lavalier microphone clipped into the nose there of the head, which the head of the costume was actually rather roomy. So we were able to get a microphone in there, no problem. It was a small microphone, it's a little lapel mic, but the wire runs down the costume and actually out my leg, which is part of the reason you can't see my feet. And then, as roomy as the head was, it wasn't roomy enough for me to have the script in there, so I did actually have to know my lines. So that was kind of unfortunate, because it's a lot to remember. Although, it's because I had to memorize those lines, it's all information that I've never forgotten. It's really a rather long section. In fact, if I were going to do this again, I would make this section quite a bit shorter. I'm not really sure what I would leave out, but I haven't exactly gone through and done an accurate or an in-depth assessment of what I would keep and what I would leave out. I like how she's trying to pretend like we're actually having this conversation in real time. Of course, the way we would do this is the camera would be set up there, and we'd just go one question at a time with me in costume, and I'd just answer the questions, and then just do all of my answers all in one go, and then we would move the camera and set it up for her to ask questions, and we'd do all of her questions all in one go. Here we're talking about the way sharks attack, and you'll see me demonstrate this in costume toward the end of the video, where I attack a friend of mine. It's actually really interesting how sharks attack, and once you know how they attack, you can start to understand why people so frequently survive shark attacks. In fact, it's always a little bit funny to me when people say, "Oh, miraculously he survived the shark attack." And I thought, well, but it's not that much of a miracle if you know that sharks don't like the way that humans taste, and that they don't like creatures which thrash around a lot, which, hey, if you got bit by a shark, you do. So they take a small exploratory bite. They don't do a kill bite at first. They do an exploratory bite to see how we're going to react and how we're going to taste. They don't like either of those things, so they swim away. In fact, people who don't survive shark attacks, it's usually because they were too far away from medical treatment or unfortunate bite placement, by which I mean like an artery got severed or something like that, and they bled out. But I'm going through at this point in the video, I'm talking about ways to prevent yourself from being attacked by a shark, and a lot of it's pretty common sense stuff. Don't move erratically, don't swim at night, don't swim in shallow, murky water. You'd actually be surprised some of the places where you can find sharks. In fact, I saw sharks recently for the first time in the wild. I mean, I've seen them, I was going to say in cages, but in tanks, surely. But I've never seen wild sharks. I grew up in Honolulu. I lived there for 18 years. Never seen wild sharks. I was in the water all the time. And then in 2009, I went back for my 10-year high school reunion, went snorkeling, and saw sharks. And they were just sort of chilling out under this coral shelf or something. I'm not sure how to describe it. But there they were. They were just, they were probably sleeping or something. I don't know what sharks do when they're not moving. But if anyone tries to tell you that sharks don't sleep, they are wrong. I have seen a program, I think it was Nova or something like that. One of those nature programs. And they went into a cave, and there were a bunch of sharks. And they realized, hey, why aren't they? Or they said a bunch of sharks that weren't moving, and they went, what the hell's going on here? And they said, oh, they're sleeping. Weird. Because people thought that if sharks stopped moving, they couldn't breathe. And that part might be true, because they were like moving a little bit. But it was a weird video, though. The footage was strange, seeing all these sharks. I think we're almost to the shark attack here. I hope so. See, again, this part is way too long. If I were going to do this again, I'd cut it way down. The whole video is like over 13 minutes, so... Oh yeah, so you tap them on the nose or punch them. And that screws with them. The sharks don't like aggressive creatures. You see there's a great white that doesn't like that the camera guy's poking him. There's footage, I don't know if I included it in here, but I saw a thing where a guy gets out into the water with great white sharks and he has a big pole. It may literally have been a 10-foot pole. And he was poking at the sharks. And there was one shark and he was poking at it, and there was another shark and he was poking at both sharks. And then when a third shark showed up, he was like, okay, I'm done. So here's the shark attack sequence. This is my friend Kenny Stanley. And we told him, dress up like a tourist. Oh, I love that you can see the tag on the costume. That's hilarious. We told him, dress up like a tourist. And this is how he showed up. And we couldn't have been happier. It was great. So here we're doing, this is how the sharks, hunt. Pelagic sharks, not benthic sharks. So they swim around, they get closer and closer. They may do some bumping to see what happens if they, nudge the thing. Here's the exploratory bite. Not a kill bite, exploratory bite. Here comes the kill bite now. So there's the big attack. And then I love that I'm like punching him and choking him and stuff. And then the head falls off. Oh no. So that was sharks. I hope if you watch the other version that actually has, the correct audio, and not the commentary, the non-commentary version, I guess. I hope that you learned something. We got a really good grade on this, though. My teacher liked it. And as I said, I think he kind of liked anything that I did because I was passionate about it. I did actually try, I'm not really sure if there's anything else I have to say about this. Actually, it was fun to do. It was definitely a lot of work. This was all shot on VHS and edited on a linear editing system, which, if you don't know, is hard to do. To a degree, but it's more of a pain in the butt than, I guess, actually difficult. But yeah. Anyway, that was Sharks. Hope you liked it. Thanks.